And what's next on the cricket calendar for you? What looks like it's coming up anyway?
So we are trying to have a bilateral series in the UK. So hopefully that should happen. Actually, it was supposed to happen in July, but it doesn't look like it will happen in July. So then after that, we have a tri-series against Australia and New Zealand, I think in Australia. And then from there, the T20 World Cup will be there in New Zealand next year, Feb. So yeah, really looking forward to that. And I think we might have some other matches also in between, but I'm still not sure about that.
Sure. What about you, Marnie?
Oh look, we're very similar. I think the big series I don't think everyone can't wait for is India coming here in November. I think everyone's very excited for that. Us as well. We've got a series potentially a one-day and T20 series in England. A bit later, this early summer, late winter. And then there's a few other series, but we're just not sure about everything going ahead and whatnot yet. So we're waiting patiently, trying to be ready. Hopefully we'll get some domestic cricket start in September, and that'll get the ball rolling into some international cricket.
You came back into the Australian Test team to play against India in the SCG Test last time they were in Australia. Talk to us about that. What's it like coming up against the Indian national team? I'm sure these guys would be interested. What's it like coming up against Virat Kohli and these guys on the field and the banter, the sledging, the intimidation? How's that look like?
I mean, that was sort of my first experience against the Indian team was that Test match. The more recent one was probably the one that was a little bit more competitive because I only came in. India had already won the series the last time. We played a one-day series against India in India, so that was my first one-day tour, and that was awesome. Just to come up against India, the likes of Shikhar Dhawan and Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli and KL Rahul, and they have such a wealth of good batters to come up against and play those guys, and just to see the intensity of the game lift. And yeah, I really think, I mean, when you go to India and you're playing against India, that you're going to walk away from that situation as a better player just because of the intensity that they bring to the game.
All of the Indian team, men and women, are absolute superstars and just celebrated in an extreme way, really, right around the country. Have you had a chance to spend any time with Virat? I know he's your favorite Indian player. He's the guy around the world at the moment that you kind of you've watched a lot of. Have you had a chance to spend any time with him?
Oh, look, briefly after the game we played in where did we play? Briefly after the first one day we played, we had a little bit of a chat, and after me, him, and David Warner. But I mean that's probably the most I've really got to speak to him properly. But I mean, hopefully there'll be more opportunities down the road. More competitive battles, which we can't wait for, hopefully this summer, where it gets a bit spicy and it gets a little bit competitive. I think everyone's missing that competitive edge, so we can't wait for that to get back.
Cool. All right, a couple of quick questions before we get into some of the meaty stuff. Jemmy, many of these guys may have seen your podcasts or your social media. You're a social media star. It's quite fun actually watching your social media stuff. You obviously have a passion for music and even for dancing. We've seen you bust some dance moves. Talk to us about that. Talk to us about music.
So, for those who don't know, I play the guitar. So actually, that passion started for me during church. So during church service, there was a worship leader who used to play the guitar, and I used to just stand there in the crowd and just admire that guy. I mean, not the guy, the one who's playing the music, for the music, not the guy. So that's how the passion started. Means I always had a desire, that okay, I want to learn the guitar, I want to play the guitar, because it was really cool for me, someone standing with the guitar and who could sing also. So that's how it started. Then my cousin Godswill, he's the one who taught me how to play the guitar. So, and then after that, I just fell in love with that. And from childhood, actually, I really loved music. Like growing up, really loved hearing music and just music, and it helps you relax also so much, and just switch off from the game. So I always carry my guitar with me on tour.
That's cool. And you've got 2 podcasts that you are currently helping to produce and you're a part of. One of those with Smriti, is that right? And the other one is with JP Duminy. And that's cool. Some of the guys here might be interested in finding out a bit about that and linking in. It's a good blend of talking sport and cricket, what's going on around the world, but also talking about faith. And I think that's pretty cool. What's that podcast called?
So it's called the Super Over Podcast. So we have JP Duminy, Liam Flint, and myself on that podcast. Recently, also we had Marnus on that podcast, and it's actually a great way. The first time when Liam Flint actually approached me, and he said, we're doing this podcast with JP Duminy, and he said it's more about not just talking about cricket, but connecting to people about God and what Jesus has done for you, and how your faith has impacted your game and changed you. So the moment he said that, I was like, man, I'm in for it. So even my managers and all called me, and he said, do you really want to do this? They are not going to pay you or anything. I'm like, see, it's not the question of money. I really have a desire to do it, and I just want to go ahead. So they said, okay, go ahead. So it's really nice talking about different experiences and getting other guests on the show, so getting to know about their life, about their faith, and it's fun actually. You guys should hear it. So there's a lot to learn from there.
Good. It is good. You know that you're not getting paid for this one as well, right?
We'll talk about that later, Hati.
Just wanted to make sure. And Marnus, away from the cricket field and away from playing tennis and golf and basketball and all the sports stuff that you love, there's a secret skill that many of the guys in here may not realize, is that you become a little bit of a barista in your spare time.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I love my coffee. It's kind of one of my things when we're traveling, to make sure that I'm, I love looking up cafes and looking up, whenever we go, we found a few really great cafes in India, in Mumbai. We found a few. There was heaps that we were able to find on the road, and it's one of the things that I love doing. So it's nice to keep you occupied as you're traveling around and finding something you're interested in, apart from sport and cricket.
That's cool. Okay, we're going to ask some more cricket questions in a moment, but Marnus, maybe you first. Just talk to us about how you came to faith in Jesus. What did that look like for you?
Yeah, look, I was very privileged. I grew up in a Christian family where, those values and things were really put out for me from a young age. I have really great role models in my life, my family, and I've got great friends. So, so that early base really set me in that right direction. And then I made the step to follow Christ when I was 17, where I personally made that decision for myself. And then it's just been a journey from there. You have your ups and downs, and I think the best realization is that just because you're a Christian doesn't mean it's going to be smooth sailing the whole way. And it's really that journey and that walking with Christ that's really been about. Everyone has their different challenges and different things that they struggle with, and it's about us having those right people around us, and like I said, that's been one of the greatest things in my life. Your life groups, your connect groups, your friends, your family, and stuff like that, to really fall back on.
That's cool. And what about you, Jemmy?
For
coming to
me also,
faith? What did that look like?
For me also, it was pretty similar. So I was born really in a Christian family. In fact, my dad's a pastor at the church. So like right from the childhood, it was always taught to me. And even when we were kids, the first rule of our house was, you have to pray first, and then only you can play. And at that time, as kids, now we all love playing. We all love doing stuff and all that. So the rule was that. So that's how prayer started to me. I mean, it was actually pushed on us as kids, but growing up afterwards, it it was just coming to a realization. Actually, it was like a persuasion that Christianity is not about religion. It's about a relationship with Jesus. And the more you get to know about that, the more you get to know your Savior and how much He loves you. So that just changes the whole meaning of it. And now I don't pray because I have to pray. I pray because I love doing it and I love spending time with Jesus. So as Marnus also said, it's been a journey. Just because you've accepted Jesus, that doesn't mean life is going to be smooth always. There will be ups and downs, but one thing is sure, that I have learned and I have realized that Jesus will love you no matter what. So that's what's keeping me going.
So let's talk about praying and playing for a moment. I'm sure there's moments when you pray when you're on the cricket field. I always wonder who God listens to more, if there's a person on each team who's praying. And we find out.
I guess God is just like, let the best man win, and he just folds his hands over
there. And Marnus, I've seen, before you step onto the field to bat, you crouch down, you do a bit of a stretching and so on, and you're saying a quick prayer there as well. But what kind of thing do you pray for before you step out to play?
It's more just about, praying for the privilege of being able to play and do what I love. I think that's something that's really important for me, to realize that, you can do all the preparation and prepare for the game, but it is a real privilege to be able to walk out and represent your country. And every time you do that, I'm very thankful. So it's just praying, that you'll enjoy, that you'll be able to give your absolute best out there, and that's it really. And if it means we win the game, then that's great. And there's definitely been times where you won to win, Ben Stokes is on strike, and you hope that Nathan Lyon gets him LBW, and sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't. That's part of the game, and I think as a kid growing up, sometimes you do ask those questions, when you do pray on the field and you get out early and you're like, oh geez, I didn't get runs today. But as you journey with God and go through that journey, you do realize that that there's bigger things out there than sport, although it sometimes doesn't look like that in the sort of thick of it and in the game, but there's bigger things out there than runs and wickets.
I remember one time you said to me that you pray that God would just help you to do your best, and sometimes on the day your best might not be good enough for that particular instance. You might get a ball that's better than your best, and so that's something to go back and work on. But just praying that God would obviously help you to do your best, obviously keep you free from injury as well. Injury is such a massive thing that can affect sport. I know as a chaplain and as loving these guys, I pray for them often, that God would just keep them, cover them, protect them, keep them free from injuries, because that can just really mess up a career. Both of you mentioned how being a Christian doesn't automatically mean everything's awesome, everything's easy. Jemmy, let's come to you. And the T20 World Cup just gone, there was so much hype around that, and what a phenomenal thing that was, to have a women's sporting match with more than 80,000 fans in the stadium. What a privilege. But obviously, for you personally, for the team, that was a disappointing conclusion to everything. How do you personally deal with disappointments?
So yeah, as you said, the T20 World Cup, India had actually got off to a really good start, and they did really well throughout the tournament. It was just the finals that things didn't go our way, and it's kind of difficult when you've been dreaming for something, and for so many months you've been practicing towards that dream, towards that purpose, and you come so close and you lose that game. It actually crushes your heart. You actually understand, okay, what heartbreak is really all about. And I'll be very honest with you, it wasn't a easy time for me coming back home. I was trying to play it cool on the outside, like trying to put a smile on my face, but inside only I know that what I was feeling and what I was going through. And even my mom actually could make out, okay, there's something still wrong with her. So I remember this time that it was actually a few days after I'd come back. My mom just called me, and she just hugged me, and I just started crying. I just broke down, when she hugged me, and she also started crying with me. And actually, that was, that actually helped me, and I just spoke out my heart to her. I just told my mom, I mean, I know God's good. I know He promised us, and He's faithful to His promise, but I just can't understand what's happening and why it's happening. And even this World Cup hasn't been the best one for me, like how I expected it to be. And she gave me an example. She said, how when a seed is planted inside the ground, it's not comfortable over there. That's the darkest time of the seed's life. But sometimes God allows us to go through those dark seasons so that He can help you rise to a new level. If the seed is just kept on a bench, there's no scope for growth. It's very comfortable there, but it's not going to grow. But the time it grows is when it's under that soil and in that dark season. So she said, I feel that God is doing the same with you. Right now, whatever you're facing is just because God's going to take you to another level, another height where you've never reached before. And she also told me, that it's just God's promise again that we go back to, that all things may not be good, but all things work together for our good. So that's how, I've been dealing with it. And it's not been an easy journey, but it's like every day you get to learn something new, and, every day, like, you're having the grace, to get out of that situation and, just trust God even more with that.
That's a great perspective. I love that. Love it. God's
Might
got
just
such
have
a great...
her just preaching for us there. That's beautiful, that.
Absolutely. God's got a great future in store for you, Jemmy. And Marnus, what about you? What do you do when you're giving your all, you're doing your best, and then something just goes against you that is, maybe it's a wrong call, but maybe the ball bounces up into Joe Root's hand, and the umpires, the third umpire calls it out, and should it be out, should it not be out, who knows. Obviously you're frustrated in the moment, and if anyone has watched the Test series, you will have seen Marnus's reaction. You're frustrated after, throw your bat, whatever. But then how do you reset? How do you get your perspective and get your head back in focus?
Yeah, I think the great thing that cricket teaches you is if you're not used to failing, cricket's a perfect sport for you because you'll do it a lot. So, the game has taught me so much from when I was a little kid and I couldn't handle getting out to now where I probably still can't handle getting out, but I'm better at it than I was when I was 12. I think it's just understanding that there's not much you can do about what's just happened or what's just gone, but you're in control of the future of your next innings. And the last thing you want to do is let your past affect your future. Whatever decisions or whatever mistakes or whatever happened that in the past is in the past. If you've got 100, 200, 300, doesn't matter, or 0, it's in the past, and you need to come back the next day or the next innings and do it all again and understand that it's a new beginning each time you walk out on the field. Because as soon as you take that for granted, I think that's when you get knocked down a peg very quickly in this game.
Sure. So this session is called Faith on the Field. What does faith on the field look like for both of you? How do you live out your faith when you're out there?
Yeah, look, for me, it's all about actions. You know, in the sport and the day and the age we're in now, it's all about your actions. You know, you're just trying to be loving to your teammates, your coaching staff, and everyone, your opposition, and you're just trying to show that respect and that enjoyment, which is what I try and do. You know that yes, you know, when you build relationships with people over a long period of time, there's definitely some conversations about God and about faith that come up, but those things don't happen without a relationship with people. And the best thing you can do, in my opinion, on the field, is just, you know, have that, you know, you walk the walk. You don't necessarily need to talk the talk, but you just need to walk that journey, and people need to see by your actions and by your fruits, who you're like.
Yeah, awesome. What about you, Jemmy?
I think I completely agree. I think I'll press the copy paste button. But yeah, I think, people more than what we say, as Marnus said, they go by, our actions and how we behave and how we are with our relationships with each other. And, that is the best way, to live out your faith. I think even Billy Graham said, we are the Bible people see. So more than what we say, or more than even going and saying, okay, the Bible says this, it's how we live out the Bible that people will actually see. So I think this is one of the ways, I believe that that's how I live out my faith. And, I mean, I'm not perfect at it. I still make mistakes, but I mean, it's a learning process, and that's the way, people will actually get to know about the God we believe in.
What if Hannah has asked a good question. What if you're the only believer in your team, and or even some of these guys in your workplace or in your family, and all your non-Christian teammates or colleagues, maybe they give you a hard time about that. And sometimes there can be, maybe it's jokes or sarcasm, maybe even outright insults, or people trying to get you to compromise your Christian convictions. How do you deal with that?
I think it's very difficult, especially in India, because there are so many different religions and so many people try to get you in their mold, or kind of make you believe what they believe, or to fit into their group you need to compromise. But I think the best example is Jesus in the Bible. He was never accepted by, in fact, even the religious Pharisees and all that. They themselves, they condemned Jesus. And but Jesus just didn't really focus on that, just knew that his reward is going to come from up in heaven. So I think one of the best ways is to do that is just to love them, not to go and speak anything harsh or anything to them. Just love them, but just know that as long as you're honoring God, your reward is going to come from heaven, so you don't have to worry about that.
Cool. What about you, Marnus? When you're with the boys, and the boys want to be boys, and even in the lead up to, you've been married now for 3 years. Is it 3 years? Before, you and Becky were together for a long time, dating and then engaged. And the guys make jokes, and they're trying to get you to live a certain way. How do you stay strong in your own faith and in your convictions?
Look, for me, it was just about understanding, and people understood that part of. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Everyone understood where I stood, and everyone understood where I came from, and what I believed in. So that decision, no matter what the jokes and stuff, and look, that's just part of life. I think it's never smooth sailing, and it was always just a part of who I was, and I was never going to compromise on that part of my life. So for me, that was just a decision I made from a young age, and I was able to sort of, people understood that this is who I was, and and that was really it. And you know, like you said, it's all about people getting to know you and building relationships with people, to sort of take away from the stereotype of Christianity.
And what about whether it's on the field, you know, or in your team setup, or away from that, in your personal life? Have either of you ever had a time when your faith has really been tested?
Who's going?
I'll go.
Okay.
Yeah, I think life always throws you challenges. I think there's many times, if it's you know, in cricket, performance based, or if it's sort of outside distractions and stuff like that. There's always going to be those challenges, and there's always going to be those things that lay on the outside. But if your faith is based on all these other factors to go right for you to trust in Jesus or trust in God, then you're always going to ride this roller coaster. So for me, it's making sure that the fabric of your foundation is set in something much higher than achievement or money or fame or anything. You know, it's got to be set in Christ. And if it is, then, you know, all those challenges that come along the way are going to be, you're going to be able to overcome.
That's cool. And I love, yeah, seeing you up close, seeing that that's something that you actually do live out is pretty powerful. You know, and especially with this amazing last year that you've had, where a lot of that, for a lot of people, could really, they could get carried away with that quite easily, kind of lose perspective, but you've been able to keep yourself really grounded and just still be the same Marnus. You know, you'll still go and hit some cricket balls at the net with my son, or you'll still just hang out with your mate. So you're still just yourself. How much of a part has your faith played in that?
Yeah, I mean, a massive part. I think, like you said, it all comes down to what you actually hold dear and what's your value in. You know, if your value is in success and fame, then yeah, it can be very easy for those things to, you know, take over your life and actually become the number one thing. But you know, if your faith and your trust in Jesus Christ is the cornerstone of your life, then you know those things are great and you're able to really enjoy those things. But if those things get taken away, you know, it's about what depth you have in your life and what friends and family and about your faith that really holds it all together.
Awesome. Jemmy, in an Indian context, like you're saying, there's people in the squad and so on, so many different religions, and you know, looking at it from afar, we see certain things and read certain things in the news in Australia, and different, I guess, pressures or biases or whatever there may be in India. How do your teammates respond to you being a Christian?
I think my teammates have, always respected the fact, that I am a Christian, and they have never, kind of put me down or, never expected me to do things their way. Even like there are times where, the entire team, they go to temples to worship other gods and all that. But, I am like the only one who doesn't go there. So they have never really forced me, and that's been a blessing actually, to have such teammates who have like really never forced you, and they respect you for what you believe in. So it's been a bit more easier for me to deal with it.
Awesome. Okay, we just got a couple minutes left. Just had a mental break. I'm just seeing some of these questions come up in the chat. Doesn't matter. Lost it. What about ethical dilemmas? Okay, so maybe the captain wants you to do something, or the coach wants you to do something that you think, I'm not quite sure how I feel about that. How do you respond?
Well, luckily enough, I haven't been in that situation yet. So, yeah, I mean, I think, people know who you are. People know, you know, ultimately it always comes down to you and your decision making. No one can force you to do something, and you need to take responsibility of your decision making. And you know, hopefully, no one's ever put in that position or that situation. But for me, it's just about staying true to who I am and what I believe in.
Cool. All right, this is the question. I just remember what I was going to ask you. I'll start with you, Jemmy. You guys are traveling a lot. You're on the road a lot. You're away. You're playing on weekends. What are some things you do to keep your personal faith life strong? What habits, what things do you have in place that help you with that?
Yeah, so as I said before, right from childhood, I have got into this habit of praying every day. So this is what I still continue even till today. And like how much ever time you spend with uh, the people in the world, but it's important that you spend time with what really satisfies and what's really going to help you face the issues and challenges of this world. So I just try and make it a point that every day I try and pray. Maybe sometimes it's not for too long. Sometimes, just for some time. But I just try and make it a point, that I'm connected, and I stay in touch with the Word of God, and because that's what's at the end going to help me. And I mean, it's a different feeling. It's a different kind of satisfaction when you realize that, okay, you may be in the world, but your calling is higher. You're made for eternal things. So that's what keeps me going. And yeah, again, I said, like, it's a journey. So that's how I kind of maintain that.
Okay. What about you, Money?
Can you just repeat the question there?
Yeah, you're away a lot, you're traveling a lot, you're playing on weekends. It's not always easy to keep your church connection. What do you do to keep your faith life strong?
Look, I listen to a lot of podcasts of my church back at home, and then also other churches that I follow on my podcast app. Like you said, prayer has just become a part of my life. It's something that I do every day. It's a lot more seamless than religious. It's that conversational, that thought, that talking to God. And then where I do get opportunity, I try and visit different churches in different countries, and where I go, if I go to England or to Wales or to wherever, I think it's a great opportunity to actually go to different and experience different cultures and different churches, while I am on the road. If the opportunity comes up, it has to be a pretty lucky opportunity. A Sunday where I'm doing nothing, no cricket, no travel, no nothing, and there has to be a church within Ubering distance by. So the stars really have to align. But I've had a few opportunities where I've been able to do that.
Awesome. You've had the opportunity. You said earlier that the Australian player you really looked up to was Steve Smith. You now have spent a lot of time with him on the field, in the dressing room. You got to bat with AB de Villiers in the Big Bash recently. What's it like when you get to be with people who were kind of your heroes?
Yeah, I remember when I walked out. Actually, when Steve walked out to bat with me at Old Trafford for the first time, and I remember before that game, I said to myself, "Just don't get out before you get the opportunity to bat with him," because I was at 3 and he was coming in at number 4, and I was in the first over, I think, and he was in not long after. So. That was really a good opportunity. And then, just learning the game from someone with so much experience and knowledge has been awesome. And when I got to bat with AB against the Heat, it was the same thing. just, when I got out there, I was like, right, I just get AB to strike and let him, control the game. And I was able to chime in with a few boundaries at the end. But just being able to be out there and learn from those guys in the moment and what they're thinking, has given me a lot of experience. And, hopefully I can continue to take that in and make sure I learn and improve my game.
Cool. 2 last questions from me, and then I'll throw back to Steve. Is there a scripture, a Bible verse at the moment that really is just resonating with you? It's something that you're holding on to and thinking about, and that speaking of your life, a Bible verse that means a lot to you right now.
So for me right now, this was actually after the World Cup that this verse actually really spoke to me. It says, "Don't cast away your confidence, for it has a great reward." I'm sorry, I don't know the verse and the scripture, which one, but this actually really stuck up to me, and I've put it on my wall. So anytime I get discouraged, every time I look at it, there's just something on the inside that says, "Don't give up. Like, just keep working hard, and you'll see what you've been believing for."
Fantastic. Is that Hebrews 10:35 maybe? Something. It's in Hebrews anyway.
I'm not good at that, but yeah, I think.
That's right. That's a great verse. Do not throw away your confidence. I love that. What about you, Marnus?
Look, I mean, there's one that sort of resonated with me for a long time now, Isaiah 40:31. And I mean, the reason that's sort of significant to me is just because, it's something that, is such a clear reminder of God's strength. For those that hope in the Lord, He shall renew their strength. They shall soar on wings like eagles. They shall run and not grow weary, and walk and not be faint. And I think that's just kind of, once again, that reminder when I am playing that, this is bigger than me. This is bigger than anyone. And understanding that, I want to go out there and perform and do well, and that, God will give me strength. But, I think sometimes we have this picture in our head of how everything needs to go and how God wants everything to go. And sometimes God goes, "No, look, there's a different way here. This isn't my plan." So, yeah.
That's awesome. And you actually have that on your bats now as well. You have a little eagle sticker representing Isaiah 40:31, which is fantastic. I love that. Okay, last question from me. Really quickly, because there'll be maybe young guys, young girls in here who maybe they aspire to make it in cricket in some way. There'll be parents in here with kids who, they've got a son who wants to be the next Marnus, or a daughter who wants to be the next Jemmy. More likely the son wants to be the next Virat, but we'll say Marnus. Especially when Marnus gets over and gets an IPL contract, they'll all want to be the next Marnus. So what's maybe one piece of advice that you would give to an aspiring young cricketer?
Aspiring advice, I would say that, believe in yourself. I think, for me, just this year has been a massive, if you believe in yourself, you can achieve anything. Like I said, it's not always the way that you picture it happening. That's for sure. I definitely couldn't have pictured how the last 12 months have gone for me personally. It's just really trusting yourself and, really work. If you want something in life, doesn't matter what it is, put your mind to it and really be determined and work hard, and you can achieve it.
That's good. Jemmy?
I would just say, it all starts with a dream. First, start dreaming, then do whatever it takes, to accomplish that dream. I mean, we have big dreams, but it's also important for us to also work hard towards that dream. And also the other advice I would give you is that, whatever you do, man, just enjoy it. There will be times in life where, things won't be that easy. There'll be ups, there'll be downs, but I think the whole point of this life is for us to enjoy it. So yeah, keep dreaming, keep working hard, and above all, just enjoy whatever you're doing.
It's fantastic. Fantastic. Well, Marnus, Jemmy, thank you so much. Really appreciate you guys taking time And I think we should all give them a big hand clap emoji and right across the screens there.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for their time. So, Pastor Steve, back over to you, mate.
Hey, thank you. That was brilliant. That was amazing. I think we are really encouraged by those stories. Just a couple of follow-up stuff. That's okay. Just 3 more minutes to both of them. What do you see is the role of having a spiritual mentor in your life, and how important is that? Because I know, because of travel, you don't get to go to church every Sunday, maybe. But how does that look like? Is there somebody you connect with pretty often? And what is the importance of having a spiritual oversight or leader in your life?
I think it's really important for you, to have a leader, a spiritual leader who can guide you and direct you, because sometimes, we are so much involved into, what we want and what we need to do that, sometimes we don't always think that of making the most wisest decisions at that time. So even for me personally, I always stay in touch with my church pastor. He's Brother Manuel. So before every game also I call him, I pray with him, and it's always good, just to talk to him, to share whatever I'm feeling or whatever I'm going through. And so many times it's been, that through him I've got the answers that I needed, and what I needed to do. So it's important to stay in touch with your local church pastors and leaders, whoever y'all are comfortable with, because sometimes they can see things better than you, and they'll just help you. Maybe just one decision that or one advice they give that will just change your life dramatically. So I think it's very important for us to stay in touch with them.
A very similar answer. I think the key is to surround yourself with people that can give you good advice. Even if it's Christian friends and Christian family and stuff like that. People that if you're like myself and lucky enough to grow up in a Christian home, you got a mum and a dad, and I got a father and mother-in-law, and I got all these great people. They're such great examples for me, not just in life but also in faith, to sort of fall back on. But if that's not the case for you, then having people like a pastor or mentors around to really guide you in direction, especially in sort of trickier times, is very important. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, that's really good to hear. One last question for me, and I think we're wrapping up with this. And I really think like a lot of young people in the room need to hear this. A lot of it, everyone's blessed with a certain level of talent, gifting, but there comes a time where hard work has to come into play. A lot of times we're substituting hard work for, well, I have faith that God will take care of it, or I have, we're trying to make up excuses for hard work. What is the importance of hard work, not just in sport, but just hard work in life? Because I think our generation has kind of lost touch on that. That aspect, I feel like that point has to be driven home. So maybe both of you can speak to that.
Yeah, I think hard work's everything. I think faith is one aspect, and having faith and trusting God's got a journey for you, absolutely. But you got to do the hard work. You got to do the time. You got to. I think the thing about cricket is that it's all the time. People don't see you training, all the stuff behind the scenes that count. So yeah, hard work is the pinnacle of, I think, everyone's success. So I don't think anyone's ever succeeded without that being the pinnacle of their performance. Is that hard work ethic, training, all those things that you probably don't associate always and always see in the forefront. But yeah, hard work is the key pillar to success. And yeah, definitely trying to substitute faith for hard work is definitely not something that I'd recommend.
Yeah, I think
no, you go.
Sorry. No, it's after you. Sorry.
Well, I think one of the things that that has been noticed most about Marnus is his work ethic. And, you know, he probably works harder than, well, virtually anyone amongst his peers. And what that means is when his opportunity came, he was ready to take it. And so, you know, we could have talked to him as well about what do you do when you're faced with second chances and so on. You know, you're in the team, out of the team, back in the team. Suddenly you're called up as a concussion substitute, and you've got to be ready to take that opportunity. But that comes about by hard work and preparation. So that's absolutely key. Jemmy, you finish us off.
Yeah, I think, yeah, as I agree to what Marnus and Artie said, hard work is, actually everything. How I put it forth is, God gives you the grace to do something, but then at the end, it's up to you to work hard and work out that grace that He's given you. That's what I believe, and that's what I've learned actually seeing my dad. So my dad is also, as I said, he's a pastor. He preaches about how God wants to lift you up and God is interested. But I have seen him work so hard in his area. But obviously, with that hard work comes out of a place of trust and confidence in Jesus. That I am doing what you have given me the grace to do, and at the end, I just trust you, to get the results for me. So I think, there's no substitute to hard work. You've got to work hard in whatever field you are in. And as Artie said, you got to be ready, because opportunities come at any time. It never comes like with a notice that, okay, I'm coming in 10 days. It can just come anytime. So you need to be prepared. You need to be mentally prepared. And for that, I think the best advice would be, to keep working hard and keep getting better and better in what you're doing.
Awesome. Amazing. Those are amazing answers. Great answers. Once again, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thanks, guys.
I've really been blessed by having you here and talking to us. I know a lot of us have been encouraged by that. If you're ever in Hyderabad, we would love for you to come visit our church, the temple, and we'll definitely treat you like stars here for sure. Again, thank you so much, and we're praying that
Thanks, guys.
Days are ahead of you, and you have a great rest of the year.
Thank you for having us. And
see you guys. Thank you.
I've seen a few videos of your church. So, you guys are actually doing such a great job in Hyderabad and, winning so many more for God. And I mean, it's not an easy job. Nobody knows the efforts and hard work you have put and even the church pastor has put behind this. So I just want to tell you that we really appreciate all that you're doing. And, I believe God has the best in store for you guys too.
Yeah, thank you so much. Pastor Artie,
see you guys.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
All right.
Bless you guys. Say it again, mate.
I said, you're a legend. Thank you. We love you. Can't wait to have you.
I actually didn't hear the first time. I wasn't trying to hear it again.
Legend.
Bless you guys. Thanks everyone for taking the time. Loved it. We'll see you again in Hyderabad sometime soon.
Definitely. Thank you.